Thousands gather on President's Day to call Trump a tyrant. Thousands of protesters opposing broad swaths of President Trump's agenda took to the streets across the United States on Monday, calling Mr. Trump a king on President's Day for his efforts to terminate thousands of federal workers and to fire prosecutors and independent watchdogs within the federal government. On Saturday, Mr. Trump suggested on social media that he would not heed concerns that his sweeping actions could be breaking laws, posting a riff on a phrase often attributed to Napoleon Bonaparte. "He who saves his country does not violate any law. No king, no crown, we will not back down," chanted those who gathered a few hundred feet from the U.S. Capitol on the National Mall in Washington. Many protesters opposed to Mr. Trump's agenda embraced symbols of patriotism, waving flags and wearing heart-shaped earrings and beanies adorned with the U.S. flag. The members of an a cappella group sang the national anthem by the Capitol reflecting pool. The audience burst into applause after the final line, "And the home of the brave. It's our anthem. It's our flag. It belongs to us," said Sean Morris, the president of the Gay Men's Chorus of Washington, D.C. "We wanted to take it back." Mr. Morris said he was deeply troubled by Mr. Trump's moves to push transgender people out of the military and to erase any mention of them from federal government websites. He expressed concerns that protections for same-sex marriages could be threatened next. "There's nothing more patriotic than fighting against tyranny," said Kat Dusterhouse, who traveled from Miami to join the Washington protest. "We're out here because we are patriots." The protests came as Democrats have struggled to counter Mr. Trump's moves, with Republicans holding majorities in both the House and the Senate and Democratic leaders and operatives worried about alienating voters and reacting hastily, without reflecting first on why they lost in 2024. Many activists, however, have voiced frustration at the lack of a more aggressive stance. Caitlin Robertson, protest participant who does advocacy work for domestic violence survivors, carried an upside-down American flag and said the country was in a constitutional crisis, a term that some legal scholars have said fits the scope of the Trump administration's assertions of executive authority in the face of legal challenges. "It is a symbol of distress," she said of the upside-down flag, which was also adopted by supporters of Mr. Trump in his effort to overturn the 2020 election he lost. "It is a good symbol for what's happening." The major group organizing the protests identified itself as the 50,501 movement, a grassroots effort to push back against what it views as Mr. Trump's second-term overreach in reshaping the government. Sarah Parker, the executive director of 50,501's member organization Voices of Florida, said the nationwide protests were fueled by a post on Reddit. The conversation on Reddit gained traction as more people who were looking for ways to act on their frustrations about the Trump administration joined the conversation, she said. Concerns on Mr. Trump's agenda among protesters ran the gamut, including his foreign policies. Joseph Schiarizzi, a protester who was holding a NATO flag and described himself as leaning libertarian, said the Trump administration had been trying to dismantle and sabotage the military alliance by appeasing Russia on Ukraine.